Great peace, great peace, great peace, great wonders. Um, See, I got breakfast right here. This is breakfast. Um, I want to talk about just a couple things before I forget. You see the squirrel right there, kind of big. You know, I'm not sure what they're eating, but they got a lot of energy. Um, I want to say this, man. When you look at Kikiyu, you look at Fiji, you look at Noir, you look at Dinka, you look at Creole, you look at Braves, you look at Blackhawks, Hopi, all these black people, you know, they may not necessarily speak the same language, but you notice they all have this reddish brown or, depending on the sunset, black hue, like blue skin. Like, I literally, like, when the sun is not like directly on me or it's set at a certain angle, like I literally look South Sudanese, like literally. And you see right now where we at an angle in America, like if I'm in Chicago or I'm in Detroit, my skin is particularly this color, right? If it's too hot outside, then it turns purple. If it's like right now, like it's kind of cool but kind of warm, then it's reddish brown. But if the angle of the sun is at a different vicinity, then my skin is purple or it's extremely blue, to the point that I look like a person of the noir. So you got all these tribes, and you can find them in Haiti, you can find them in Louisiana, you can find them in all these rural areas where traditionally people who went up to Detroit, who was looking for a better life, they kind of forgot where they were from. They kind of forgot the people who they left behind. When you look at that, right, I particularly need to say this because, like, I see a lot of people, they forget, like, who they are and, who they originally intended to have service for. I see black people who want to mix in with, all the other in crowds. They forgotten the fact that they had family in places like Clarksdale, Mississippi, or something like that, or Jackson, Mississippi. They forgot these people. They've become liberal-minded. They've become conservative-minded. They even got that they had populist governments back in these places where, like, they don't even have to worry about cops. They don't even have to worry about all these people who, would necessarily take away from what they've wanting to create and what they've intentionally in the past created. You look at these places, like even places in like rural Iowa or rural, and I say Iowa because that is where Harrison Barnes is from, You got rural places in Texas, Afro-Mexicans, you know what I mean? So my allergies is kind of messed up right now. Like, they in there eating meat. I can't do the meat thing. So, when people are eating meat, my allergies mess up. I gotta go outside, so. So when that happens, right, you got all these people and they spread out. You see how my skin color is now, right? Now you can see it's turning like a purplish red. This is why I say, like, when you put copper jewelry on, this furthers your oxidation of the medicinal effects that is in your skin coating. When that happens, right, you change all these different colors. Just from having copper on, having wood on, having cotton on. You know what I mean? Like, this is what happens. So like, yeah, I think like, you know, you look at places like California, Missouri, and places where like it may not be the best, because I always wondered this, like, why don't I see always, why I don't see black people everywhere that I go, like people who are just of a dark hue, who don't necessarily fit into the Drake scheme of things, you know, Jewish mother, Octoroon father, you know what I mean? So Creole people specifically, because you know the French wars were between the Creole and the Octoroon. Um, when you look at, you know, all these different people, right? They're the same people. They're not any different from this person or that person. Creole, Noir, Dinka, Kikiyu, Fiji, they're all the same people. Just because a person is in America and a person is in Africa and a person is in the Oceanic region, or a person is in Asia or Eurussia, they're the same people. You know what I mean? They're the same people. They're just spread out on the globe. Like literally, you put my image next to someone in South Sudan, you're gonna think we're the same person. You know, depending on the lighting, depending on, and I say the lighting because the sun is up over here and it's not up over there at certain times. I hate that. So I'll be outside for the rest of the day. So you look at that, right? You look at that and you say, you got all these different people, right? Fijians, Kikiyu, Noir. So you got two Noirs. You got Noir in South Sudan and you got Noir in Haiti, Haiti. And Haiti is in Missouri. So you got the Haiti in Haiti, which is right south of Florida, right? And then you got the Noir over there in South Sudan. Both of these people look alike. They just spell Noir differently. South Sudan spell it like N-U-E-R, and the Haitians spell it like N-W-A. And you know Eazy-E, he adopted N-W-A, which meant black in French. And people didn't even know that. You know, so listen, like when you really look at this, man, and you peel this stuff back, it's like you can't differentiate between, like, you know, this person. The thing is this, man, like all these tribes need to come back together, because like we've created a mess on earth where people are just claiming nations and they're not being, you know, responsible with what they're creating. You know what I mean? Like a person may create something and you get all these infiltrations happening where this clan wasn't originally meant for that son, or this clan wasn't originally meant for that daughter, this clan wasn't originally meant for that mother. It goes back to the Bible where you have Ruth and Mary kind of abandoning all these different villages trying to find Boaz. It goes back to that. It's literally that over again. You know what I mean? And this is why I always tell people, like, they really need to go back and read that story about Boaz and Ruth to see what that was really about, because people are making a mistake every day. Like people are saying about, you know, Shannon Sharp, like he's Southern Baptist. I don't think he's into Hollywood modeling agency type women. You know, I don't even think he's into African women. I think he's into Southern Baptist women, right? And we're all the same people, right? But I think he's into that Southern American Baptist woman, like the ancient mama looking lady. I think he's into those type of women because he's Southern Baptist. So we need to really start to like refine the things that we see and kind of refine the things that we hear and kind of use it for our own motivations. You know what I mean? Because that's what I do, right? I use everything that I see for my motivations. And like, yeah, like, you know, it's weird because I have to bring that up, man, because it's like I don't think people really realize that, like, all these people that, like, because there's this thing in America right now that's happening, and I don't think it's really touched. I know it touched in South Africa, but it really hasn't touched in other places like Kenya and Uganda. People are not understanding that where Americans are creating a divide between who is black and who is African and like who is not this. And you can't really do that. You can't really say like, you know, these people are not that people. You can't really say that, you know. I don't think you can. And we, like Africans, like as Africans, we need to have this discussion, right? You know, who is really African? Who is really American? You know what I mean? Because the conversation is getting watered down because people are not really, you know, I don't think people are paying attention to, you know what I mean? Like, you know, the changing moves, the changing parts. And like I constantly have to bring this up because people, you know, they don't really realize that, you know, because you may see a person, and I saw this like when I was living in Chicago. I always saw this, right? In the 90s. Like when I used to see like all these different people who used to live in the projects and, you know, they come outside and walk around and you didn't know who certain people were and where they came from. You see all different shades of people. Like you'll see a person who looked like someone from India who had woolly hair. You know what I mean? Like, and I still got pictures of these people because my mom used to take pictures of the kids. And I still have pictures of some of the kids who were in the projects. And like, I'll look at them and I'll be like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, you don't see these people today walking around the cities. You know what I mean? So how is it that people are arguing about Haiti, Jean-Baptiste Dusabo didn't found Chicago? It's like, well, who did? You know what I mean? Like, who did? Are you saying that because they're calling him Haitian? Well, do you know who lives in Chicago? Because I can tell you the streets where the people who look Haitian, where they live at. You know, you see them on the internet all the time. Like, all you got to do is a quick Flickr search. Look at Chicago and the people there. You'll see like, okay, these people are from this area, these people are from this area, these people are from this area. And you'll know like, okay, South Side, that's where all the Haitians are. You know what I mean? So, and again, like when you look at the island Haiti, it's no different than Haiti, Missouri. All these land masses, they have soil, and the soil grows grass and trees. So how is, you know, Missouri somehow different than Dominican Republic? It's the same place. The people may have went further west, or the people may have went further east to get away from colonialization, but perhaps saying these are the same people, and that's to say with all full confidence that they are, because you know you have to be there to see the people. You just can't make blanket statements if you haven't been out the house in 10 years to go see who's at the places where, you know, these people are at. So I'll close out, and I'm looking at this right here. This water is turning very green, and you notice that, you know, when it turns green, right? When it turns green, right, you can see that, you know, an alchemical process is taking place, where it's like the copper and the oxidatives, they're starting to spread. And again, that comes from moisture, comes from rain, comes from grass, comes from tree life. You know, this little blanket right here, like, it's going to turn green. So, great peace, Yakoki.